Everybody, thank you all for being here. Let me first thank the Connecticut Fire Academy, PJ Norwood, for hosting us here. I learned that we host 300 classes here. 60% of the training happens here and then across the state. Thank you, Jeff. We're going to hear from Jeff Morissette in a second. But thank you and the firefighters who are represented here today, and the fire chiefs, and the fire union leadership. Thank you all for hosting us here in your house for this really important announcement. We're here this morning to announce that the state of Connecticut is suing today 28 major chemical manufacturers who manufacture, produce, market, and sell dangerous toxic chemicals known as PFAS, or as many of us also refer to them as the forever chemicals that are everywhere in our groundwater supply, in our bloodstreams, in our food, in our clothing, and pose very serious health risks to all of us, to human beings, to our families, to animals, and to our environment. So why do we care about PFAS? So PFAS refers to a broad category of chemical compounds. I have Dr. Jutani here, so she'll keep me in check. I'm not a scientist, I play one on TV sometimes. 12,000 different variations of chemical compounds, generally known as PFAS, PFAS, or PFOA. And these compounds are generally understood to be industrial and commercial use Teflon. Okay? Non-stick products, things that we use every single day. What's so bad about PFAS is that they're highly toxic and can cause significant damage and adverse health effects to human beings and animals. Federal government agencies like the Center for Disease Control's Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry have concluded that there are adverse human health effects associated with PFAS exposure, including kidney and testicular cancer, liver damage or changes in liver function, delayed growth and development, including decreased infant birth weight, decreased vaccine response, increased cholesterol, and importantly, we found that PFAS also spreads through humans and other mammals by crossing from the placenta to a fetus and through breast milk. Additional adverse human health effects associated with PFAS exposure include, but are not limited to, cancers, including cancers of the liver, breast, pancreas, prostate, diabetes, fatty liver disease, adverse pregnancy outcomes, and infertility. So the consequences, the risks from PFAS are serious and profound. And what's really scary about PFAS is it's everywhere. So since I became Attorney General, my team has dug into this issue, working with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and the Department of Public Health. And we've learned a lot over the last, it's hard to believe, 5 years. I'm beginning my 6th year as Attorney General. And what really hits home for me is that there's likely and potentially PFAS in the microwave popcorn I ate last night, or in the pots and pans, the nonstick pots and pans that I used to fry eggs on Sunday morning, right? In Gore-Tex, water-repellent clothing, in shampoo. PFAS is everywhere, and because of that, 99.9% of human beings, all of us right here, right now, have PFAS in our bloodstream. And the reason why PFAS are called forever chemicals is because it takes a long time for them to go away. And for all practical purposes, they're there forever unless they're remediated, and they're permanent. And so while some chemicals and substances, have short half-lives of days or weeks or even months, the half-life of PFAS and these 12,000 compounds are years and years and years. And the cost of remediating this is in the billions and billions of dollars. And so that's why we're here today. We have sued 28 major chemical companies, including the biggest chemical companies on earth, 3M, we all know 3M, and DuPont, and its one-time subsidiary, Chemours. Why are we here at the Connecticut Fire Training Academy? Well, PFAS appears in many different forms, as you talked about: microwave popcorn, non-stick pots and pans, Scotch Guard on your fabric, sofas and upholstery, or rugs in your house. That's one area where it's used commercially and sold to us in products. Another big area in which PFAS is used is in fighting fires, in firefighting foam. And you're going to hear an acronym. I've used the acronym PFAS and PFOA. There's also AFFF, which refers to firefighting foam, used by all of the men and women who fight fires and keep us safe every single day. In 2019, I was here because of two major discharges. One, a huge leak, thousands of gallons of firefighting foam, including PFAS, were spilled at a private hangar at Bradley. And then, I think following that, if you all remember, there was a crash of a World War II airplane during a demonstration, an air show, and it was a really dangerous, highly volatile, high temperature crash. And so the men and women here responded, and they had to use firefighting foam because it's highly effective in putting it out. But all of that was discharged into our environment, and both spills and discharges ended up in the Farmington River, right? Which is so vital to all of us. I don't have to tell you how much all of us relied not just on the Farmington River, but particularly the Farmington River, right? Which cuts through so many communities and into our groundwater. And so firefighters, of course, are at maybe the greatest risk of immediate exposure because they're literally spraying the foam themselves. It gets on their person, on their clothing, on their skin, in their hair. They bring it home to their families, on their equipment, and they're still using it, right? And even though 3M has promised to phase out the manufacture and use of PFAS, they're still doing it. I don't think DuPont's really stopped the manufacture and use of PFAS. There are 26 other companies that are involved. There's still PFAS and PFAS-related compounds in firefighting foam. The state of Connecticut has banned it going forward, but that's starting now. Think about all the damage that has already been done. And so just to give you a sense of the damage, I know that Commissioner Dykes is going to talk about the potential cost of remediating PFAS. Back of the napkin math tells us that it's at least $5 billion in Connecticut. But I've been around these major high-impact toxic torts enough in my job now to know that almost always the number is so much higher and exponentially higher than that. Another example, Connecticut Water Company, which is a major water system here in Connecticut, estimates at least $128 million to update their equipment to begin the process of remediation. And again, this is going to take decades and billions upon billions of dollars. So how have we sued these companies? We're here to announce two lawsuits. One lawsuit relates to the AFFF foam. So one lawsuit is focused on firefighters and firefighting foam. The other lawsuit is focused on the non-firefighter foam products, and there are 6 companies in that case. And the cases essentially say this in Connecticut State Court. These companies, 3M, DuPont, Chemours, 26 others, developed these compounds in the 1940s. And they pretty quickly learned, because they were so effective, how permanent they are, how pervasive they can be, and they knew, starting in the 1950s, how dangerous they could be and how toxic they are. And so, to draw an analogy, we sued ExxonMobil because ExxonMobil knew about climate change and the impact of fossil fuels. as far back as the 1950s. And the similarities are striking in that ExxonMobil knew about the effects of gasoline and fossil fuels on climate change because they developed the science. Right? It was their own scientists that told them about climate change. In the same way, these chemical companies developed the science, they developed these products, and they've known for decades that they pose serious health risks to people, contaminate our water supply, and do great damage to our environment. But instead of telling us about these risks and disclosing these risks, as they often do, they covered it up. They told regulators, state and federal and local, don't worry about it. They're fine, right? Everybody uses these products. We need them. They're wonderful. They're very effective. And importantly, they told firefighters, and they told fire chiefs, and they told municipal and state officials, we need to use these products. Don't worry about it. They're safe. We now know that they're not. So they marketed these products knowing that they were unsafe, knowing they posed serious health risks. They disregarded those health risks. They covered it up, and they lied to us.